Howdy y'all, and welcome back to KT's Crafting Corner. As someone fairly new to punch embroidery, who really believes that it would be great if we could have some good kits for young people or even any average person to start learning some of these older crafts again, I am very interested in the idea of trying out some punch embroidery kits that are fairly affordable and seeing if they're any good. Now, to be fair, remember, I'm fairly new to this too, so I'm not exactly a professional at knowing the best kind of equipment and the best kind of tools, but I sure do know the worst kind. So I thought I would do a little unboxing for you of one that I found today. This is not sponsored whatsoever, but I figured when I saw a $5 punch embroidery kit at Target, I would see what the kit has inside and see if it is even worth suggesting or not. So this is the kit. It is by, I never know how they say that, Mondo Llama. They don't have a lot of options through Target for punch embroidery, but hey, at least they have this one. It is for 2 different create your own punch needle coasters. So let's see what the kit has inside and see if it's even worth the $5 that we spent for it. So the first thing I see is that the yarn is very thin. So that's not exactly encouraging personally, because I am not a fan of thin yarn. If you are someone like myself and you deal with a lot of problems with wrists and hands and grip, thin yarn is a lot harder to work with, in my experience, with punch embroidery than thicker yarn. But still, it has its place, and some people really like it. Can make for a good look. All right, let's see what else comes with it. We have a fairly stiff but still movable canvas to work with. Here's the first one. It also comes with a coaster backing in felt. Let's see what else we have. So this is all for that one, it would appear. Oh, well, I will say this to their credit. They have 2 different kinds, 2 different coasters, that is, designs for each coaster. And each of these coasters are individually packaged with the yarn that is required for that design. So kudos for that. That is actually a definite plus. Let's see what else it has. So we're looking at the same thing for both of them. I don't really want to take it out and then mix up which one's which. This second design only has 2 different color yarns. Again, still on the thin side. Not exactly my favorite, but I mean, it should work. And then they do give you a needle and a threader. So having used this almost exact needle a few times before that has come with a couple other kits, I can say this is a pretty decent needle. I mean, it might not be the most professional needle that you could find, but it's actually a pretty good needle. It works very well. In fact, I've used it for my own project that I made of my own design because I've preferred it over some of the ones that my mom has gotten very specifically from crafting sites for crafters that are professional grade. I liked this one better. So this already is a fairly decent quality punch needle. And the threader, ooh, I really like that they have a color kind of tape end to these threaders, because if they don't, which many kits don't have, it's very hard to find your threader, and you're going to need it several times as you work on your punch needle project. And here is the loop that you're going to put it on. I know I'm not very professional with the terminology, but here's your hoop. There you go. And it is a locking hoop, which is really nice, a locking embroidery hoop. So far, most of my projects have come with a locking embroidery hoop, and that works pretty well, as long as you can tug the fabric strong enough. All in all, for $5, again, I'm not a fan of the size yarn, but I can't really hold it against them because many embroidery kits can come with thinner yarn and some come with thicker yarn. I just prefer thicker. That's just a personal thing. So I should have known that by looking at the size of the box, but to be fair, I bought this online and then I picked it up in the store. All in all, for $5, if you or your loved one is looking into starting their punch embroidery journey, I think I'd recommend this. I mean, it's only $5. What have you really wasted? The needle is a good needle with a good threader. I mean, there's not really super bad threaders, but when you have the color that can actually be seen when you put it down, to me, that's a huge plus. They have instructions that look pretty good. I mean, honestly, for what you get in this kit, I'd say you actually get more out of this $5 than I've gotten out of some $10 or $20 kits on Amazon. I wish they had more options. That's probably my one actual complaint, is I wish that they had more options within the punch needle crafting type. And I wish that it was thicker yarn, because personally, I like the thicker yarn to work with. Yeah. And I find it a lot easier for myself. And if you or someone you know who's looking into getting into punch embroidery has any problems with grip, it is easier to work with thicker yarn for that. Okay, I gotta go. Thanks. Bye.